It says I'm live. And I'm on the good strong Wi-Fi, so we should be all set. Hi there, and welcome to this day in history. I don't often do lives, but without telling you more than you want to know, I just didn't feel like editing yesterday. Not out of laziness or willfulness, just a lot going on, and I just didn't feel like it. So we're doing live today. Let's see what else that I can tell you. All righty. This is what a life looks like. Anyway, into the matter of the day. Hi there, and welcome to this day in history. This is November 2nd, the 306th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 307th in leap years. That's a little clunky. 306th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 307th in leap years, with 59 days remaining to the end of the year. Today's word is oracy. 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 That is a word that spell check didn't recognize. It really is a word, though. Oracy is a noun that means the ability to express oneself in speech. This word oracy was coined as a combination of the words oral, which means having to do with the mouth, by word of mouth or spoken in this case, and literacy, which has to do with the ability to read and write. So a combination of those two words, oral and literacy, came up with oracy. I printed out my stuff, which again has to do with the ability to express oneself in speech, oracy. I'll give you an example of oracy in a sentence. This is from a book called The Third Temple by Peter Clements. And it says, there was so much he had wanted to say but could not. Words had formed in his mind, but he had been deprived of oracy. I can relate. First documented use of the word oracy, 1965. So it's a relatively new word, oracy. And with that, we will go right on over to 1755, when Marie Antoinette was born on November 2nd, 1755. She was the Austrian-French queen consort of Louis XVI of France, to whom she was wedded in an arranged marriage when she was 14. Initially well liked by the common people, she over time lost favor with the populace. As the years passed, she spent money like it would never end on such things as fashion, luxuries, redecorating, and gambling and entertaining, while most of the rest of the country suffered. It didn't help that she also got caught up in a scandal or two along the way. Now, I didn't get any impression that she was a mean spirited or a vile person, anything like that. Um, she encouraged assistance to America during the American Revolutionary War. And I think that generally she meant well, but maybe overall was a little maybe self-serving, maybe a little vain, maybe a little out of touch with what was going on with her people. Anyway, a lot of cloak and dagger was going on in the European government in that time, and especially in and around the French court. It'd be a difficult time to try to be a queen. And French revolutionary interests managed to abolish the monarchy, and they charged and convicted Louis XVI with treason and executed him. And unfortunately, there followed a similar fate for Marie Antoinette. She was executed by guillotine on October 16th, 1793, when she was 37. On November 2nd, 1868, New Zealand officially operated Let's do that one again. On November 2nd, 1868, New Zealand officially adopted a standard time to be observed nationally. Interestingly, they were the first country to do so. Of course, a time zone is an area which observes a uniform standard time for legal, commercial, and social purposes. The different zones are divvied up generally along longitudinal lines, but not strictly so because they take into consideration things like country and state boundaries. Here in the US, we have 4 time zones across the continent, plus Alaska and Hawaii for a total of 6 time zones in the US. But we're not here to talk about the US. We're here to talk about New Zealand. New Zealand is an island country in the Southwest Pacific Ocean, southeast of Australia. New Zealand is composed of a North Island, a South Island, and somewhere around 700 smaller islands. The 2 main islands use New Zealand Standard Time, and the outlying Chatham Islands use Chatham Standard Time, which is about 45 minutes later. Kind of like how the East Coast is an hour later than Central. The time difference between where I am in Central Standard Time Zone, for example, and Auckland, New Zealand, which is on the North Island, is currently morning here now, and it's tomorrow afternoon there. 8 a.m. Wednesday morning here is 4 p.m. Thursday in Auckland. Chatham Standard Time, as I mentioned, is about 45 minutes later than Auckland. And to tie it up in a little package again, this was November 2nd, 1868, that New Zealand adopted a standard time zone to be observed nationally. On November 2nd, 1920, radio station KDKA of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, began broadcasting as the first commercial radio station. The first day, the main topic of discussion was the 1920 presidential election. They probably talked about whatever they could, and then I'm sure they covered the results. 1920, that's a long time ago. Speaking of radio, today's song is Romantic by Karen White, #1 on November 2nd, 1991. It's a good example of the kind of music that was popular in the late 80s and early 90s. Ms. White is also known for her hits Superwoman, Secret Rendezvous, and The Way You Love Me. Those 3 all made it to the top of the Billboard Hot R&B Singles chart, as did this one, but it was Romantic by Karen White that made the #1 spot on the Billboard Hot 100 on November 2nd, 1991. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Give it a like if you enjoyed this episode of This Day in History, and I'll try to pull myself together so I can get episodes properly edited for upload. I like to schedule them for 8 o'clock, and I like to be regular with it so that people can know that that's when these come out. And hi there, Braxton and Dogbite. What a great handle, Dogbite. Anyway, I have got to go get ready for physical therapy for my cranky old lady hips. Y'all have a wonderful day. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. And now we look for the thank you very much button. Thank you very much.